Want to welcome Juicy J, Julian Erosa to the show for the first time. What's going on, man?
How's it going, brother? Everything's all good, man. Just been training hard, getting ready for my fight.
For sure. So check this out, man. The last two fights that you had, I was covering in person, and you lost those fights. I won't be at this one, but I'm hoping that I wasn't the bad luck charm for you there, man.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely sucks to come off a couple of losses. But the main thing is that I made it back in the UFC, and so and I still get an opportunity. I think I'm the only person who's ever been fired from the UFC multiple times and got a job back 3 or more times. So I'm just blessed to be here again.
Well, you definitely belong, man. I mean, you're an exciting fighter. You're only 29 years old. You're 22-7. I mean, you're definitely one of the better featherweights out there. You deserve this spot, man. Julio Arce, he's a very tough guy. Are you a guy that likes to watch tape on your opponents, or do you kind of just let your coaches handle that?
I used to not really like dig super deep into my opponent's fights, but nowadays there's so much, especially a guy like Julio. He has multiple UFC fights, so it's easy to really check up on his stuff because I got Fight Pass like everybody else, and I'm able to watch some of his most recent fights and dissect him a little bit. Obviously, he's a southpaw too, so I like to let my coaches, obviously my coaches always watch all the fights, all my opponents' fights, and so they already have that dialed in. But for me, it's more of like a visual thing for myself as well. Like, it's one thing to drill things, but to actually see that person that I'm fighting do those moves on other people, that visualization helps me kind of dissect it too. So I definitely like to watch my opponent's fight.
I'm the same way. I'm more of a visual learner. Do you prefer to fight a southpaw?
Oh, not necessarily prefer. I think there's different things that you have to do. Defensively against a southpaw versus a orthodox fighter, especially someone who's as good a boxer as Julio Arce is. I got to make sure, because if you slip one way with an orthodox guy, you're slipping into the power of a southpaw versus slipping on the outside of the power of like an orthodox dude. So getting those training partners is definitely ideal because you want to get the reps in. You want to be sparring guys that are similar to him, and if you're sparring a bunch of orthodox guys, which most gyms have, there's not very many southpaws out there. So just gathering as many southpaws as you can, and not only gathering southpaws, but southpaws his size. We have a lot of. I have a few different southpaws that I've been using, but there's a couple guys that aren't necessarily really similar in size. They're just southpaws. So I have a couple guys that are good training partners because they're southpaws and they're his size. But it's hard to mirror him 100% in the training room. But we're doing our best.
For sure, he's definitely a hard guy to duplicate. Who are some of the training partners you've been using to kind of duplicate his style?
Oh yeah, so there's a kid named Zach Jusola. He's a 55er and he's about 6 foot, so he's a little bit taller, but he's a really, really good boxing southpaw. He's got really good boxing as a southpaw. He's obviously going to be a bit longer. He's taller, so what helps me out with that is if I can stay on the outside of his range, then obviously staying on the outside of Julio's range will be a little bit easier because the kid that kid's a bit longer. Also, this kid Yaz. I can't remember Yaz's last name. It's hard to pronounce, but Yaz was actually on the last season of the Contenders. Lost to Matt Sales, but he's a southpaw and a good boxer, good striker, southpaw. So I've been using him, and he's actually almost identical in size to Julio Arce. He's about 5'8" and has like a 72 or 73 inch reach, and Julio's a little bit like an inch shorter and maybe like an inch shorter on the range as well. But almost identical. We were talking about sizes, and then also Yaz is a good boxer too. So I've definitely been just trying to get like good southpaw boxers, and just really and not only necessarily to spar, but just for lots of drilling, lots of reps, lots of visualization of seeing where these punches are coming from.
That's real. It sounds like that's real important to you. Like the reps, the drilling, that's super important to you, right?
Yeah.
Was there a time in your life, or I guess I should rephrase that? Is that something that has always been important to you, the drilling, or is that something as you've gotten older and more experienced that you've kind of realized that you need to do?
I've always been like a hardworking, like, guy in the gym. So like, what I enjoy with fighting is that no matter how good you are, you can always get better. There's always something to learn. So I always go into a training session like as open-minded as possible. So when I'm there to drill, I want to drill as many reps as I possibly can. I want to be dripping of sweat because I'm working so hard because I'm getting as many reps in as possible. You get some guys that go in, the morning drilling classes that we have, and they're just lollygagging. They're not breaking the sweat. They're not really paying attention to what we're doing. But for me, it's like that's where you get all those live reps, and then those are what transition into good sparring sessions. And so for me, instead of thinking that I know everything, because I've been doing this for like 10 years, and some people who've been doing it for so long think, oh, well, I already know this, I know that. But look, man, I go to some of these drilling sessions, and we can work just a jab the whole time, and I'm still like, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to learn because there's always more you can do. There's always more reps that you can get. I mean, they say it takes thousands upon thousands of reps just to get for your body, for your muscles to remember these things. And not only that, to be able to throw it comfortably and have the cardio and the stamina to be able to throw these combinations, hundreds of times in a fight. And so for me, I've always been one that's been ready to and willing to drill because, a lot of times what happens is a lot of these athletes, especially even, I could see myself falling into it at some points too, is where all you want to do is go hard. You want to spar, you want to grapple hard, you want to wrestle hard. So everything's more live rather than drilling. And so it's nice to really take a step back and just get, separate those things. We have our days now that are hard days where we just do 100% of our sparring. And then we have days that we just do a lot of drilling, and then same with jiu-jitsu and same with our wrestling and stuff. So you definitely got to separate those things and make time for both.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. The lollygagging, we need to bring that word back. That's not used nearly enough. That's a great word.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I just kind of like a funner way of just saying lazy,
Yeah, right. It sounds so much nicer. You could say that dude's lollygagging and it sounds sweet, but if you say that guy's lazy, you sound like an asshole, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, that's genius, man. Well, real quick, man, before I let you go, how do you think this fight's going to play out? Do you think it's going to pretty much stay standing?
Yeah, I know Julio. Fuck, man. Everybody thinks I'm mainly a striker, but I got good grappling and jiu-jitsu and stuff and wrestling. And I think it's just, what people prefer is what they kind of fall into. And that Julio is comfortable on his feet, so he's going to, and every round starts on our feet.
Shit, well, thank you for your time, Julian.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Take a couple minutes here, man. Shout out your teammates, whatever you'd like, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, obviously follow me on my Instagram, Julian Erosa and I. Facebook is Juicy J's my fan page. Obviously, all my sponsors, I always run their plugs on my social media. So, shout out to obviously my coaches, Coach Casey Homestead, Eddie Blanco is my striking coach, all my friends and family. And all the fans, because that's really what fucking drives us to do what we do. But also my manager is Jason Townsend, my manager from Iridium Sports Agency. If it wasn't for them, I would not be in the UFC again. And so I got to shout to them for sure because he's done everything in his power to keep me here. So. But yeah, that's about it. I appreciate everybody.
Well, thank you for your time, man. I can't wait. I think it's one of the more exciting fights on UFC Rochester. I believe you and Julio. That is definitely one of my sleeper picks to be the fight of the night. So I can't wait. Best of luck to you, man. And go get him at the UFC PI, man. That place is great.
All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
You too. Take care, Julian.